So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about a concept we call secure device access. I would think that many of you have been working at enterprises, organizations, etc., that want you to authenticate yourself as having rights to use certain resources of the organization. What we do is apply that same concept to the device you're using to obtain that access. So I'm just going to bring up a few points, which is if you are using a device to access a resource and you've authenticated yourself, there's still some potential issues. So the concept of BYOD, we call it bring your own disaster, is if you're the IT security person at the organization, you don't really know or control that device. You only know that the person who's using that device has provided proper credentials. The move to cloud applications means that many more applications are available. They're not behind a single point of protection, the firewall. They're available anywhere. When you're using a device, certainly in certain industries, being able to detect whether that device is fully encrypted is important. For some types of devices, it's relatively easy. For iOS, there's an API made available by Apple, but for other devices, Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, it may be a little bit more difficult. I'm just going to provide a quick case study of a regulated entity called Copland Health. So Copland Health had a laptop stolen from, I think, a back of a car. And that laptop had thousands of patient records, all sorts of very sensitive data controlled by HIPAA. Is anybody here familiar with HIPAA? So HIPAA requires you to protect that sort of data. The good news is the laptop had been password protected, but there was no way to tell if the device had been encrypted. And as a result, Copland had to spend a fair amount of time monitoring that device for several months. They're going to be subject to fines. Had they been able to establish that at the time of theft the device was encrypted, the amount of time and money they would have had to spend monitoring the device and the fines may have been lowered. In fact, they may have avoided fines. So the costs of not securing devices when they access your resources can be large. So with Copland, we didn't indicate the number, but if you look at some studies from Verizon, the average cost is $4 million. For these mega losses of personal records, it could be as high as $350 million. So it is something that needs to be taken seriously. So at OPSWAT, we have a platform we call MetaDefender. There's all sorts of technologies that we've designed to work seamlessly together. In the secure device access space, I'll talk a little bit about what we do. So again, the notion is you've got users, they can authenticate themselves, but can these devices be authenticated? Can this laptop, it could be Windows, it could be a Chromebook, it could be Mac, same thing with a workstation, it could be Linux, and then you have these portable devices. And the notion is, even if you have an authorized user, the device itself may have some issues. It may be infected. It may not have a working set of security products. There's no EDR, there's no anti-malware, or if they're on the device, they're not actually enabled, or maybe they haven't done a system scan in 3 months. Those are notions that we address through our secure access technology, as well as being able to tell for any platform we support the encryption status of the device, as well as some other compliance checks that are driven by certain industry regulations, as well as the patch state of all the applications on the device. And the notion is, as these devices authenticate themselves to go to, say, a Salesforce, and we have a very nice demo, by the way, of how our solution grants or denies access to a device based on its state to Salesforce, and it's at the back of the booth. So a quick peek at our solutions admin console. This is the dashboard. It will let you know, if you're the administrator, the number of devices monitored, the number of users or sessions blocked, some of the reasons why these might be blocked as far as devices with vulnerabilities, devices that are actually infected, or devices that don't meet your security baseline as the organization in terms of no encryption enabled on a device, or the real-time protection of the endpoint anti-malware is not enabled. And this is just a glimmer at the user experience. Our product involves deploying lightweight agents to all the endpoints we support. The user doesn't really know that the agent is on their device unless and until they get an issue that notifies them that they've been blocked from an access. So in this case, a particular user will get a customized page that indicates you're blocked from X, from Salesforce, from Atlassian, from Jira, what have you, and some of the reasons. And in some cases, our solution will be able to allow the user to self-remediate. In other cases, they'll need to get the IT organization involved. But it all goes back to, can an authorized user access corporate resources on a risky device?